Shalom, Yisrael. My name is Yashar Yehuda, and this video is entitled Lawless Christian Antinomians. Again, the title is Lawless Christian Antinomians. All right, so first I want to go ahead and give you guys the definition of what an antinomian is defined as. All right, so it reads, the definition here of antinomian: of or relating to the view that Christians are released by grace from the obligation of observing the moral law. Also, it reads a person holding antinomian beliefs. Okay, so again, I'm going to go over that title again. The title is Lawless Christian Antinomians. And I'm going to get into, touch on some of their beliefs, their erroneous and fallacious beliefs. Okay, so there are many out there, most of whom are Christians, that erroneously think and teach that they are exempt from having or needing to follow the Mosaic law, which was written by the very finger of our Creator. Okay, so most of these people that hold to this particular doctrinal fallacy misuse the Apostle Paul's writings. All right. All right, so these people, they gravitate towards the Apostle Paul's letters, and as I just stated, they misuse them. All right, so they try to use the Apostles Paul's writings to validate their claims. And of course, their claims again are that they do not have to keep any of the Mosaic law. All right, these people, they go by a creed which is entitled in the Latin sola fide, which means by faith alone are these people saved. All right, so they don't put any trust in faith in works. These people are a faith-based belief system. This is what their foundation is built upon. All right, so again, they validate their claims off a bad understanding of Paul's writings and his letters. All right, but to the contrary, we have the testimony of the Apostle Peter that confirms that Paul's teachings and writings are oftentimes hard to understand. All right, and we read in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. So let's get those. All right, this is a picture of Simon Peter. All right, so this is 2 Peter 3:15, and it reads, Paul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest or wrestle with, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. All right, so here we see the Apostle Peter writing that many people misunderstand the writings of Paul. And this is where a lot of mistakes enter into these people's doctrines, their doctrinal beliefs. Okay, so next let's get another testimony. And this time we're going to get the testimony of HaMashiach, the Messiah himself, Yahusha. And this is going to be coming from Matthew. So Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. All right, so let's get verses 21 through 23. And this is the words of the Messiah, the HaMashiach, and it says, "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, or Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven." Verse 22. "Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, or Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have we cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works?" 23. "And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity." All right, so again, that was from the very words of the Messiah, Yahusha himself, in Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. All right, so let's take a closer look at these particular three verses again. All right, so verse 21 states that not everyone that says to me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. And the key of this verse is, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. So we see, let me highlight that for you. So we see that this verse is expressing the fact that if you expect to gain entry into the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be based or contingent upon each individual being compliant with or doing the will of the Creator, Yahuwah. So what is the will of our Father, and what does he require of his servants? All right, for this particular answer, we can go to the Torah in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 through 13. So let's read that. And it reads, "And now, Israel, what doth Yahuwah thy Elohim require of thee, but to fear Yahuwah thy Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul." All right, verse 13. "To keep the commandments of Yahuwah and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good." Okay, so there we see what the will of the Most High Yahuwah is, and that is for us to love him with all of our heart and all of our soul, and to keep his commandments and his statutes. So that is how one is to be compliant with the Most High's will. And that again, that's found in the Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 through 13. So, this is the verse that many Christians unwittingly have quote and are quoting from when they claim that the Messiah brought a new commandment of love in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 39. So let's read that. All right, so this is Matthew 22:37, and it reads, Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord, or Yahuwah thy Elohim, with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. All right, so you can see the connection with Deuteronomy right here. This is again Deuteronomy 10 and 12, where it states here, where it says what is required of the Most High, and it says to love him with all of your heart and with all your soul. All right, so going back to Matthew 22 and 37, we see that Yahushua there is quoting from the Torah. All right, so Yahushua is there speaking to a particular individual that asked him a question, what they must do it was a particular it was a lawyer that questioned Yahushua and asked him, what is the greatest commandment? Right, so in Matthew 22:37, Yahushua answers him and he says that you must love the Most High with all of your heart and with all of your soul. All right, so going on to verse 38, it reads, This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And it says, on these two commandments hang all of the law and the prophets. All right, so what you'll find is many Christians will quote this and say, all we have to do is love the Most High. We just love God and we love our neighbor. And these are the only commandments that we are required to keep. And we don't have to do any of the 613 commandments that are listed in the Torah or the Big Ten, the 10 Commandments. They feel like they're freed up from that. And this is an enormous misunderstanding and very bad exegesis and bad hermeneutics of scriptural texts. All right. But these people are running with this particular false doctrine because it frees them up and it causes them to be able to claim that they're going to receive everlasting life and salvation without having to do any works. All right. But we know that Yahushua definitely stated that you have to have works coupled with faith. You can't have sola fide, faith alone, and grace alone and expect to receive everlasting life and walk on streets of gold and have all of these blessings and you didn't put in any work. All right. When you work like on your job, you put in 40 hours a week, work in a week, and you expect to get paid for that, right? You can't just expect to be paid if you thought about going to work. You have to actually do something. All right. Faith and works. You have to couple that. Okay, so also James, the brother of Yahushua, James chapter 2, verse 17, he also says that faith without works is dead. So you have to have faith and works together. All right, so there is Yahushua speaking to the lawyer that questioned him about what is the greatest commandment. And again, Yahushua is there quoting from the Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 11, or verses 12 through 13. He quotes that. Okay, so the problem, again, with most Christians is that they're only concerned with half of the Bible or half of the book. And when you do that particular thing, which Christians do, they end up taking a lot of verses out of the proper context. All right, so we want to touch on Psalms chapter 40 and verse 7. And it reads, Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. All right, so you can't only just look at the New Testament and think that you can build all of your truth and your foundation and all of everything. You're betting everything just on half of the book. All right, so you have to base it off of the Old Testament. The Old Testament is first for a reason, because it came first. That is the foundation. That's the root. All right, that's the root that the New Testament, which is the fruit, came from. You can't have the fruit without the root. All right, so getting back to Matthew, again, Matthew chapter 7. All right, so we're going to go on to verse 22 now. All right, so I'm going to go a little further and break down verse 22, where it states that, where Yahushua states, many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. Okay, so who are the only people that qualify as fulfilling this particular prophecy in verse 22? As you can see from some of the pictures there, Christians are the only people that fit this prophecy. They're the only ones that qualify to fulfill this particular prophecy. Only Christians prophesy in what they believe is the Messiah's name, Jesus, but in reality we know that his name is Yahushua. And according to Acts 4 and 12, there's only one name given under heaven whereby men must be saved, and that name is Yahushua. So not only are they prophesying in the wrong name, but they believe that to be his name, Jesus, but they also claim salvation in a false name. All right, so only Christians profess to cast out devils and demons in the name of the Messiah. And it is also Christians who profess to do good works in the name of the Messiah again. In the name of Jesus, they do these works. All right, so they feed. You'll see a lot of times Christians on TV are out on the streets feeding the hungry, giving clothes to people that need clothing. And you'll see them out there praying for people. All right. So again, if you are not based and have the sound doctrine and a firm foundation in the truth and the Torah, which is the law, then you qualify as what we term as an antinomian. All right, so you don't want to be an antinomian. Again, we gave the definition of an antinomian, and that is relating to the view that Christians are released by grace from the obligation of observing the moral law. That is the 10 Commandments or the 613 commandments given in the Torah. Also, it says a person holding antinomian beliefs. All right, so if you're praying for people demon possessed in the name of Jesus and you don't have any works to go along with it, or you find yourself out there in the streets passing out food and giving out clothes to people, and you think that you're somehow paving your road to heaven, you think you're going to get into heaven because you're doing these particular things and you're not keeping the rest of the law. You have to keep the law, or if you don't, then you're going to find yourself being in the category of the people that we just read about in Matthew chapter 7, 21 through 23. All right, so again, only these Christians, they qualify to be fulfill this particular prophecy. that we read about again in verse 22. And it says, let me read 22 again. And it says, many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name cast out devils, and done and in thy name done many wonderful works. All right, so those are the three things that, you'll see a lot of these people trying to say that they did these great things, right? All right, so we're going to pick up on verse 23 now, and it says, then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. All right, so as we seen in verse 23, the Messiah would tell these particular people that fall into those categories in verse 21 and 22, mentioned earlier, that he never knew these particular people, even though they were praying for people that were supposedly demon possessed. And you see them out there feeding the hungry. You can see them out there giving away clothes to people. All right. But if these people are not following the rest of the law, then their works will be in vain. All right. So faith without works are dead. We already went over that. Again, that's James chapter 2, verse 17. Faith without works is dead. Now, these are works. All right. But there are many laws that people need to keep. And these people, again, they feel like they're freed up from having to do the law. All right, so now let's get into the definition of what iniquity is. All right, so let me get that verse again, 23, and it says, then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. All right, so let's get the definition of iniquity. So what is iniquity according to Scripture? All right, in the Greek, the word is anomia. Again, that word is anomia in the Greek. And you can find that in the Strong's Concordance. And it's found under G458. Again, that number is G458. And it's defined as illegality, violation of law, wickedness, and iniquity. And also the transgression of the law. All right, so we see in that particular definition of what iniquity is that if you're not keeping the law, it says right in the definition of what anomia means and is defined as the transgression of the law. All right, so if you're breaking the law, you qualify as a person that is wicked, a person that is in violation of the law, a person that is in a lifestyle of iniquity, a person that is in illegality. So that is what the definition of anomia means in that particular verse. All right, so also in the Hebrew, we have the word avon, which is the Hebrew word for iniquity, and that's found in the Strong's Concordance H5771. And in the Strong's Concordance, and it's defined as perversity, evil, iniquity, sin, and to twist. All right. So that is what you'll find a lot of the Christians doing. They will twist the truth to turn you away from, doing the whole law. One of the attributes of Satan is that he knows the truth, but he likes to flip it and twist it a little, so he can pervert it. So you have to watch out for people that dabble with the truth. All right. Most of the time, these people have an agenda, and that is to get you away from doing the law and being in the will of the Father. All right. So again, that word is avon, and it means to twist away. It means iniquity, sin, perversity. All right. And there's also another word for iniquity in the Hebrew. And that word is rasha. And that's found in the Strong's Concordance, H7562 and H7563. And it is defined as morally wrong, iniquity, guilty, wicked. So this is what the word rasha in the Hebrew is defined as. And again, it is linked with the word that we discussing in Matthew 7:23, where it says, when Yahushua is speaking to the people that did these great things in his name. And he said, let me read the verse, and it says, then I will profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. All right. So that word there, iniquity, again, in the Greek is anomia, and in the Hebrew, it is avan or rasha. And again, it means to twist away from the truth. It means to sin. It means evil. It means transgression of the law. And it also means wickedness. All right, so these are the proofs out of the mouth of the Messiah himself that he wants you to keep the law and have the faith. So we have the testimony of the Messiah again in the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and 12. Let's read that right quick. All right, Revelation 14 and 12 reads, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Yahushua. All right, so again, it states that you have to have faith and works. That's out of the mouth of Yahushua in Revelations chapter 14 and 12. Let's see. Okay, so finally I want to give you just a small excerpt from a video of one of the Antinomian televangelist, well-known pastor, Creflo Dollar, as he admits that Christians are no longer required to keep the 10 Commandments.
How the law stirs up sin, we looked at that. So if we Christians hope for victory over sin, we shouldn't have any relationship with the law, not eating the 10 Commandments. If we should hope for victory over sin, we should not have any relationship with the law, which is over 600 of them, and also not even the Big Ten. Not even the Big Ten. Oh, I'm gonna just freaking your tradition out. Not even the Big Ten.